Hey everyone, welcome to a brand new section in the YouTube Creator course. Today, this section is all about creating amazing videos, so the actual production side of making your YouTube channel. So some of the things we'll be covering in this section include the basics of creating video on a budget, how to shoot amazing quality video on a tight budget, getting great audio and why that's so important, a little video lighting demonstration, how to find free music for your YouTube videos, and some workflow and time management tips that will take your video production skills to the next level and make sure that you have consistent and high quality videos posted to your YouTube channel. I'm really excited to have you along for this journey so far. I hope you've been enjoying the class. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to message us and we will get back to you as soon as possible. And just wanted to make sure that we make this class as best as possible. So if you have any suggestions or feedback, please let us know and enjoy this section. In this tutorial, I'm going to be going over the equipment that I use for all of my videos. And this is a lesson that I've used in a number of my classes, and it relates to my YouTube content as well. I basically have three setups that I use to create my videos and the ones that I post on YouTube, and I'm going to be going over all of the equipment that I use. So first, I have the professional talking head setup. This is one that has a higher quality video and audio. Here's a sample of what it can look like. There's my goofy face in the middle of talking, but I use a nice backdrop in my office. There's a nice depth of field, so the background is slightly blurry, and the lighting is very nice in this setup, and it's very just clean. So with this setup, I use my Canon 7D DSLR. This is a camera that can shoot photos and video. A lot of you probably know what a DSLR camera is. And a lot of people always ask me, what is the best DSLR camera to get? I use the Canon 7D because I've had it for a long time and I love it, and it still shoots amazing quality video. If I were to get a new camera right now, I would look into the Canon 70D, the Canon 6D, or even if I was starting out, the Canon T5i. These range from a few $100s upwards of a few thousands of dollars, especially if you get a higher end camera like the Canon 5D Mark III. Or there's, of course, other brands. There's Sony and there's Nikon and Fuji that put out some really great DSLR and mirrorless cameras as well. I'm all about you being the artist, you being the creator. The camera is just a tool, and especially for most of the types of videos that you and I are creating, the camera doesn't have to be a $10,000 camera. Something that's a couple $1,000s or even a few $100s can shoot amazing videos nowadays. You can even use an iPhone or another smartphone to shoot some great quality video now. So when it comes to a camera, choose something that's within your budget. Pay attention to the lens options that you have because that does affect your picture quality. And of course, you'll need a tripod as well with your camera. For lighting, I am very minimalistic with my lighting choices. For most of my talking head videos, I use paper lanterns that you see here. You can go on Amazon and get a pack of 10 for about $10. And I usually get the 16-inch ones. They have 10-inch, 12-inch. They have all sorts of sizes, but I get the bigger ones. And these just hook up with a light socket and cord, and then I just use a regular light bulb in there. I try to get a brighter bulb, one that matches daylight, not a tungsten bulb, so it's a cooler bulb. And if you are looking at light bulbs, make sure that you ask or you search for something that is daylight balanced so that it matches the light coming in from the windows. But putting up two of these on either side of the camera seems to look great for me. And I also use just a window, a big open window during the day to shoot a lot of videos as well. For audio, when I'm shooting talking head stuff, I typically use a lavalier microphone. This is the Shure, that's S-H-U-R-E, Shure 183. It's a great microphone that I hook up to my Zoom H4n recorder, which is that device over on the right side. And I use this because the DSLR cameras don't have great microphone input, so you need to record your audio on a separate device. I also have a Sennheiser wireless microphone set that I'll use if I'm out in the field. So combining all of these things, the camera, the audio, and the lighting, create my professional talking head videos. The next setup is my second semi-pro talking head shot. This is what it looks like, and you can see the difference from the previous shot, where here the background isn't as beautiful. It's a lot wider of a shot because I'm using a webcam attached to my computer. The lighting is also decent, but because the camera isn't as good, it doesn't look as beautiful as the DSLR camera. The camera that I use as a webcam is this Logitech C920. It's an amazing camera that does high quality video plugged straight into your USB port on your computer, and you can use a program like QuickTime Player or most video editors to log and capture your video straight into the computer. For lighting, I use the same thing. I use paper lanterns set up, both two on either side of the computer. And then for a microphone, I now use what is called the Heil PR40. It's a higher quality microphone that's used by a lot of podcasters. Sometimes I use the lavalier microphone that you saw in the professional talking head setup. And then for a while, I was using the Blue Snowball. The Blue Snowball is a nice USB microphone that plugs straight into your computer. So there's no extra effort. You don't have to plug it in and record with an external audio recording device. It plugs straight in and you can record everything straight into your computer. The only thing about the Blue Snowball and the Heil PR40 is that you have to be close to the microphone, and if you don't want these microphones in your shot, you might have to use something else like a shotgun microphone or a lavalier. Then the last type of video that I create is the voiceover with screencast video, and that's what this course is mostly made of. This is what this video itself is made of. And what I use is my microphone and a screencasting software. For screencasting, I use ScreenFlow. That is a program for Mac computers that allows you to capture your screen, and it has an entire editing application inside of it, so you can record and edit your videos. That's what I'm using to edit this course. There's also a different software called Camtasia, which is available for Mac and PC, which is very similar. In a pinch, I'll just use the QuickTime Player, which has a screen recording it allows you to record your screen. So that's pretty cool to use in a pinch, but when I want to edit something, I'll use ScreenFlow. For my microphones, I'll use my Heil PR40, or what I used to use was the Blue Snowball. The Blue Snowball is only $50. The Heil PR40 is over $300, and you need to plug it into your computer via an audio recording device or mixer. So the Blue Snowball is a better deal and it's a lower barrier to entry because it's only $50 on Amazon, and you can plug it straight into your computer. So these are the 3 different types of setups that I use. I hope you enjoy this quick overview of my equipment, and if you have any questions, please let me know. There's thousands of different types of equipment out there, from cameras and audio to lighting, and really, as I mentioned before, you are the creator. Use what you have, and I'm sure you can make a good quality video as long as you have some sort of tool to shoot, capture audio, and edit.
In this video, we're going to show you the camera equipment that we use today to make all of our YouTube videos, and take a little travel back in time and show you exactly what we started with. But to do that, I need to use a webcam because I can't show you the camera we're using that I'm talking into right now. So let's switch over to the webcam. This is the setup we use for all of our videos. We just have a stool in front of our kitchen island with the Canon 70D, and what we do is we open up all of our windows here in the living room, and generally that's enough light for us to see our faces clearly. Occasionally we'll throw a small LED on top of this camera, but most of the time this is what you're looking at. And here is my desk where we do all the editing. This is a 2014 MacBook Pro. This is a Blue Snowball microphone. I've got some old Sony headphones, and that's about all you need. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the Canon 70D and why we chose it as our main camera that we use now, and what we upgraded from. The reason why we chose the 70D is because it has a very powerful autofocus system. It's called dual pixel autofocusing. What we also like about it is it has a flip out touchscreen. When we turn the camera on, we can see ourselves and we can change any settings while we're sitting at our stool in the kitchen. The microphone we use is the Rode Video Mic Pro, and we've also purchased what's called a dead cat, and this slips over the top of the microphone to eliminate wind noise. The lens we use is the lens that came with the camera, and the reason we do that is because the image quality that we're getting out of it is just fine. In fact, we took this to Norway and I did some photography and we're just really happy with it. We always run our camera on manual mode, and we generally will keep the aperture at 3.5 as wide as it will go. Our shutter speed is 50, and then we control our ISO to adjust the brightness of the room. We'll go as high as 500. We try not go higher than that. If we're in a low light situation, we might boost the ISO to 800, but after that it starts to get really grainy. Once we've recorded a video, we pop out the SD card. Did you guys see that? I just flew across the table. We pop out the SD card, plug it into our computer. Lauren gets started on the rough cut while I go on her computer and start making the thumbnail. If you're just getting started, you certainly do not need a $1,200 camera, and that's not what we started out with. But we did want to start with a DSLR and a Video Mic Pro. Our first camera was the Canon Rebel T2i, which in terms of image quality, you're not going to notice much of a difference between the Canon 70D and the T2i. What separated it was that it did not have the autofocus system, and it did not have a flip-out screen, so we couldn't see ourselves when we were filming. But if you're just getting started, those are extra features that are honestly not worth $800 extra. You can pick up these cameras so cheap now used. This is what I usually recommend for new YouTubers. Once we're done filming a video, let's move on to the next step, which is editing and then posting our video. We mentioned in a previous video that we have spent thousands of dollars on camera equipment, and we've showed you what we actually use today and what we started with. But if even that is too much for you to spend, which is totally understandable, there are several options that you can get started with only the equipment that you probably already have. And what I'm of course referring to is the cell phone that's in your pocket. These days, almost every single smartphone has high-resolution video and sometimes even stabilization. It looks fantastic, sometimes almost indistinguishable from the higher-end cameras. And for less than $100, you can add a few accessories that will increase your production value dramatically. The first thing you're going to need is a smartphone tripod adapter. And these are just little things that kind of hug your smartphone and put a 1/4 inch by 20 standard tripod thread on the bottom of it. And so there's all kinds out there, some that are just kind of more industrial, made to put on the tripod you already own. This one is a great one, has a handle built in that you can kind of use as a selfie stick, and also opens up into a small mini tripod for setting on a table or a desk. I highly recommend the GorillaPod or Joby tripods, like the mini tripods. This one actually comes with the adapter to hold your cell phone. And what's nice about these is they wrap around anything and they can kind of just stick to things. If you find a tree branch or a pole, or they open up to sit on a desk. These are so versatile, and then you can actually hold them as a selfie stick as well. The next thing I would recommend if you're on a budget is a cheap LED camera light. These can be as expensive as many thousands of dollars, or they can be as inexpensive as 50 or 60. Here's one for $35 that has great reviews. And these just provide a little bit of light. If you're using natural light, which you should be, this kind of enhances it and kind of clears up any shadows. And if you happen to need to shoot in a low light setting, it'll look really point of view and honestly not that great. But if low light is all that you have, then these go a really long way. You'd really be surprised how bright these are. We personally own this Best Light Ultra High Power 160 LED light, and it works great. For $23, you really can't beat it. The last thing you're going to need is going to be the most important. It's going to be an external microphone, and if you're using a cell phone, I recommend the SmartLav Plus. And this is an $80 item, so it's a bit of an investment, but it's a lapel mic that you plug into your cell phone, and it's made by the same company that makes the high-end microphones that are used in movie and TV sets. So it's a really high-quality item. I personally own this and absolutely love it. If I'm forced to film on a cell phone, this is the only way that I'll do it. I will not use the internal microphone of a cell phone just because, as you'll learn in the next video, quality audio is more important than quality video. And if you want to hear what this actually sounds like, we did a voiceover for a video for when we were traveling in New York City. So if you just search Mike and Lauren New York City, hopefully it pops up here. It's this one, 3 unusual New York City attractions, not in guidebooks.
New York City, home to some of the finest parks, architecture, and artists in the world.
We used to live above this shoe shine and laundromat. This trip, we're staying in Chinatown, which I don't recommend unless you like the smell of fish and squid billowing into your apartment at all hours of the day.
Today we want to show you 3 New York City attractions that are free that you won't find in any of the guides.
Whenever someone asks me about starting a YouTube channel, I try and steer the conversation away from production value, things like cameras, lighting, and audio. Because the truth is, if you're putting out good, entertaining content, people are going to watch regardless of the quality of your video. I can show you one example. Izzy Swan is a woodworker that I follow on YouTube, and he currently has 215,000 subscribers. And as far as I can tell, most, if not all, of his videos are filmed on a cell phone, and they all have horrible audio. Izzy, I'm sure you're not watching, but should you watch, I'm sorry, but gosh, it is so bad. But the truth is, his content is so good that you just don't care. A little while back, I actually made a video explaining why high quality audio is so important. This is an example of iPhone quality video, but with really high-end audio. This is a Rode NT1A microphone running through the Toft Audio Design soundboard, which is about $4,000. Now here's the other extreme. So this is awesome video quality with really crappy audio quality. We're recording the video with a Canon C100, which is a $5,000 body, but we're recording our audio through the iPhone. Where you want to spend your money is on a microphone. In the last video, we showed you the Rode SmartLav Plus, which plugs directly into your cell phone and gives you, I would say, close to studio quality audio. But if you're not using a cell phone, if you are going to use a DSLR or a point and shoot, you have a few other options. The microphone that we personally use is the Rode VideoMic Pro, and I would say this is the industry standard. I would say probably, I don't know, 80% of YouTubers, I just pulled that figure out of nowhere, but I would say 80% of YouTubers probably use this microphone on their camera. We've been using it for the past 2 years, and it's never given us a problem. In fact, on our trip to Norway, the only problem we had was this cracked when it was crushed in the back of the car. Super glued it back together, still working great. If you're using a point-and-shoot camera, one of the problems you'll run into is that the jack that's on these microphones is not compatible with the lower-end cameras. You really don't get this 1/8-inch mini jack until you spend $200, $300, $500. So it's kind of a catch-22. If you want to use these types of mics, you sort of have to buy the higher-end cameras. What's nice about the VideoMic Pro is it's a shotgun microphone, meaning that only audio entering the tip right here goes through a little barrel and is picked up by the microphone. So any noise that's on the outside or behind the microphone is going to be dampened. And the reason this is nice is because it isolates your voice if you're talking to the camera. You'll remove road noise and room noise. It just gives you a lot cleaner audio, and that can really improve the quality of your videos if your audio is clean and loud and people can hear you. Quick side note, I am a bit of a techie, so when you're setting up your camera with the Rode VideoMic Pro, make sure you use the plus 20 dB setting on the back, because you want to use the preamp inside this microphone as much as possible and the one in your camera as little as possible. So when you're using it, put this dial all the way to the right to cut off the low frequencies, put this dial all the way to the right to boost internally in the microphone, and then turn down the gain inside your camera. If that was a little over your head, don't worry about it. That's just a little tip if you are really into this stuff. I hope that helps, guys. From experience, let me tell you, it's easy to get sucked into this stuff, and you can just spend all day researching and never actually make a video. Don't let this stuff stop you. Get out there, get filming, even if it's just the microphone that's on your camera. Just know that eventually you're going to need to upgrade, or otherwise people are going to be less likely to stick around to the end of your video.
In this video, let's talk about lighting. So lighting is a big pain point for a lot of newbie video creators because you don't know where to start, you don't know what types of lights to buy, and you don't know how to set them up. Now I have a very simple and cheap solution that I use for all of my videos now. While I'm a video creator and I have a professional lighting kit, it was a struggle to set it up every time I wanted to create a video. So I decided I needed a setup that I can leave in my office set up so whenever I needed to film something, I can just flip the switch. So what I did was I purchased a backdrop bar which goes over my computer, and then I got 2 paper lantern lights. The paper lantern balls themselves came from Amazon. You can buy a pack of 10 for just about $10. The light bulb, the socket, and the power cord came from IKEA, and it does an amazing job. The paper lanterns really spread the light so it's very soft, and I just have 2 lights, one on either side of the camera so that they're both shining on my face about the same amount. You can get fancy and try to do a 3-point lighting setup like they use in documentaries and television shows, but just having 2 soft light bulbs coming from either side of the camera actually provides a lot of great light, and it looks good for online tutorials. Now also in my office, I use my available light, which is this window to my left side, and that's a big source of light coming from this side.
And so it does create a little bit of contrast between this side of my face and this side. And that's one thing, if you get further into filmmaking, you'll want. You want to light someone's face so that it's not completely flat, so it's not the same amount of light on one side as the other. You want a little bit of contrast. More light on this side, less light on this side. And that's what this window provides for me. So the combination of the two lights and the lighting from outside is what creates this good lighting situation for me. One thing to keep in mind with lighting, though, is that you need the right types of light bulbs. A lot of you might be shooting during the daytime when there is light coming in from outside. So when you're picking out your light bulb, make sure that you get the cool blue 5600 Kelvin light bulb rather than the 3200 warmer tungsten light. And when you're buying your lights from Home Depot or wherever, there should be someone who can answer that question for you and tell you which one to get, the 5600 Kelvin, the cool blue light, or they'll have it on the package for you to see. So the takeaways that you should remember from this lesson are as follows. 1, you want to make sure that it's easy for you. So if you can, purchase that backdrop or set up your lights so that they're always there available to turn on. Now, a lot of you might not have an office or studio where you can just leave lights up all the time, but if possible, it will make it a lot easier to make videos and it won't be as much of a headache. The second thing is you want soft light, and that's what these paper lanterns give. The paper on the lanterns creates this very soft diffuse light that looks really good on skin. And so that's why I really love these paper lanterns. And these lanterns are cheap. As I mentioned, less than $15 per light, including the socket, the power cord, the light bulb, and the paper lantern itself. And lastly, get the right light bulb. If you're shooting inside and there is light shining through a window, make sure you're getting the cool blue light bulb rather than the warm tungsten style light bulb. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this lighting kit video. If you have any questions, let us know. Otherwise, we'll see you in the next. In this video, we're talking about backdrops. I think there are two basic methods of creating a backdrop. One is try to get a plain background, which is a good look. It's clean, it's modern, it's fresh. The other is to try to get an image or create a backdrop that gives and shows off a little bit of your personality. I do both. I have a gray backdrop that I use for some courses, and it looks really good because it's nice and clean. It's just a paper backdrop. You can get this paper backdrop from a local photography store or online. And to put it up, you can use tape or clips, or you can get a backdrop stand from Amazon. For most of my recent videos though, I've been using this backdrop of the Swiss Alps. This is a photo that I actually took while traveling to Switzerland, and I put it in my office to brighten up the room, and whenever I look back at it, it makes me smile because it reminds me of my time there. I like showing off a little bit of personality and color. You want to be standing far enough from the wall so that when you focus on your face, the background is a little bit blurry. And using the 50mm lens I suggested, or even your kit lens with your camera, you'll be able to achieve that effect. The main thing to keep in mind with choosing a backdrop is to keep it clean. Whether you're using a solid paper backdrop with one color or an image or a wall like this one, make sure that there's not a lot of stuff in the background. You don't want to be shooting with your kitchen in the background or a light pole in the background. You don't want to have lights in the frame. You don't want to have other stuff in the background that could be distracting. So make sure that it is clean as possible. As always, you can find links to the paper backdrop and the backdrop stand in the supplemental materials of this lesson.
Finding music for your video projects used to be one of the hardest things to do. I would be searching online for hours trying to find good quality music to use with my videos. Now YouTube makes it easier than ever with their new audio library, which is being updated constantly with amazing new music to use for your own videos. We saw it before, but just as a reminder, go to your Creator Studio, down to Create, and then Audio Library, and it brings up an amazing library with all sorts of music. I recommend getting music that doesn't have lyrics for your YouTube videos, especially if your YouTube videos do have you or someone else talking in it. You don't want the music lyrics to compete with the voice or whoever's talking in your YouTube video. That's a mistake that I see a lot of beginners making. With the YouTube audio library, you can save audio tracks that are your favorites and be able to refer back to them in the future. By toggling on this favorite status star over on the right side, you can refer back to those songs in your favorites tab. This is great because you are able to see all the songs that you have previously liked. Now what I do is I actually download a bunch of my favorite songs and keep them in a folder on my computer so that I always have access to them. Remember that there's an attribution required if there's this little Creative Commons attribution icon right here, which just means that you have to include this text in your YouTube description. Now, the audio library has a lot of great songs, but there's not an infinite amount of music here. And the more and more I watch YouTube videos, I see other YouTubers using these songs over and over and over. And so you might want to set yourself apart a little bit. So what I use is called audiojungle.net to buy songs. Audio Jungle has songs from $1 up. Usually they're about $9 to $15 depending on what you're looking at. They have a ton of different songs here, and you can search by genre and all sorts of things. You can buy music packs if you want to buy a bunch of music that's similar. You can buy logo or idents. These are shorter 5 to 15 second stings that you can use at the start of your videos. All sorts of great sound effects and songs here. You do have to pay for them, but it is a great library. I've generally been happy with all the music that I've found on audiojungle.net. Now, of course, like everything, I have my own preferences, and after a while, I keep going back to the same songs. But if you want to just get started and you need music for your videos, try the audio library on YouTube. There's lots of great stuff, and they're adding new songs all the time. Thanks for watching, and I can't wait to listen to some great music in your new videos. Hey everyone, welcome to a new lesson. Today we are going to give you some tips for workflow and time management, which will really improve how you create videos and how you feel about creating videos, because I know how hard it is to stay up to date, to stay relevant, to keep posting videos every week, which you should be doing as a YouTube creator to make sure your audience is engaged with your channel. And so here are some tips to help you be more efficient and manage your time better. So first we're going to go over some production tips. The first thing that I recommend is keep your setup ready. For a long time I was hauling out my lighting kit, my camera, all of my equipment every single time I was going to shoot a video. But that got really old really fast. And so when I moved into my new place, I made sure that in my office setup I kept up my lights, I kept up my microphone, and I have my USB webcam ready to go. Now, a lot of you might not have that convenience of being able to keep up your lights, or you don't have an office ready to shoot in, but whatever you can do to make sure that it's easy to just go into the room, shoot, it will make sure that you are having more fun creating your videos because you don't have to deal with having to set up the lights every time, and it will help you to create more and more videos quicker. The second is to batch produce your videos. When I'm creating YouTube videos, I try to shoot as many as possible in one period of time. It doesn't make sense to record a video once per week when I could record 4 videos in one day and have a weekly video for the entire month. So please try to batch produce your videos on one day per month or one day per week. The next thing is using snaps. So I'm going to give you a demonstration of what I do when I mess up on a clip. I snap. So you hear those 3 snaps. When I'm editing my video, I see those snaps in the waveform of the audio track, and I hear those snaps when I'm editing, and I know that means something. And it helps me speed up my editing process because 3 snaps for me means that this take was good. Obviously, I mess up a lot when I'm recording YouTube videos and online courses, and so having those snaps in there allows me to hone in on that section of the video when I'm editing, and it really speeds up the workflow. So while this is a post-production tip in terms of editing, you have to make sure that you're snapping while you are shooting. So set up your snaps however you want. You can snap when you have a bad take, or in between takes, or when you have a good take. Just do something during the production side so that when you're editing, it makes you more efficient. The next thing is post-production tips. So again, batch edit. It doesn't make sense to sit down for an hour or so every week to edit a video, or more, because usually it takes a lot more time to do that. It makes sense to do batch process as many as possible. So you're in the zone, you're fluid, you're using the tools, and you don't have to get back into it every day or every week or so. So again, shoot and batch edit your projects. Use templates. So when you're creating videos with your titles, your graphics, make sure you create templates so that you can easily create new graphics, or you just use the same graphics over and over so you don't have to worry about starting from scratch every time. I also suggest creating one project. It doesn't matter where you edit your videos. I use Adobe Premiere Pro, but in Adobe Premiere Pro, I have one YouTube project that I edit with. So all my YouTube videos go in there. I have all the assets I need, all the graphics, all the titles, everything else, all the music, so I don't have to start a new project every time. And then lastly, remember the snaps. So remember that you can snap during your production and signify that you did a good take, and it's easier to edit that way. Now let's talk about publishing tips and while you're on YouTube. Set up your default settings. We've gone over this, and we will go over this even more about how you set up your default settings so that you all the time, whenever you upload a new video, your description has the right information, your tags include the ones that you need already, and everything else is set up so you don't have to start from scratch every time. Batch, upload, and schedule. So once you've batch recorded, batch edited your videos, upload them all at the same time and schedule them out every week or however often you want to publish your videos. And then lastly, respond to the commenters on the community page. So instead of going from video to video, go to the community page and respond to all of your comments on that page. It makes it a lot faster. So these are some workflow and time management tips. The only other thing I can say is find and schedule a time for you to work on your YouTube videos every week. When I sit down at the start of each day, I write down my goals for that day, and at the start of the week, I write down my week goals. It's important to have goals, and by writing down those goals, it does help people finish them. And I always set aside time to work on my YouTube videos. So you don't want to make it a thing where, oh, you'll get to it if you get to it. You definitely want to include time in your schedule, whether you're working full time and you need to do it after work or on the weekends, or if you're doing this full time, please schedule some time to work on your YouTube videos and to check your YouTube channel. Now, I'm checking my YouTube channel almost every day for new comments, but if you don't want to do that, which I understand, schedule a time every week so that you know you're going to go onto your YouTube channel, check it out, see if there's any new comments, and interact with other YouTubers on the YouTube platform. Thank you so much for watching. I hope these tips help you out, and we'll see you in another tutorial. Hey everyone, welcome back to another practice exercise. This has been a fun section where we learned a lot about video equipment that we use, Mike, Lauren, and myself. And hopefully it has given you some inspiration for what types of equipment you can use. And remember, all these tools that we are using are just that. They are just tools. You are the artist, you are the YouTube video creator. You can basically use whatever you have available to you. And nowadays, most people have a smartphone that can shoot pretty great quality video, HD video. And that's what I make some of my YouTube videos with. And so for this exercise, I'm not going to do a walkthrough of how I actually create a video, because in the next section, Mike and Lauren are going to be doing that entire process with you. And so watch that section if you need help. But for now, we want you to go ahead and make a video so that you can post it on YouTube. So now's the time to get down and dirty, get to work, make your video, and we'll see you in the next section.